Here we go. It's time for Read the Line Celebrity Guest Picker. Let's see what he has to say for the Century Tournament of Champions. I'm joined by Sal Vetri. He's founder of Vetri Media and a very successful YouTube celebrity. How successful? I mean, how about 50,000 fans? Is that successful? Well, it works for me, especially when you're talking about fantasy and gambling and the world of golf. So I know whose YouTube fans love him. You're going to love him yourself. Welcome to Read the Line. Sal, Century Tournament Champions, golf is back, man. How are you?
Aloha. Yeah, I'm having a good time, a good start to the week so far. How you doing on your end? Love the shirt.
Oh man. Well, aloha back. I'm in a good mood. I'm a golf professional, so when golf is back, PGA Tour, LPGA in a couple weeks, I'm fired up. Generally I'm always fired up, but I'm pretty fired up this week to see the winners go at it. All-star cast.
Yeah, this is your actual Christmas. You got it a week or two later, but your actual Christmas starts now.
This is definitely the gift that keeps on giving. We got
There you
50
go.
weeks of golf coming, and it's going to be really good. Now, it's going to start Century Tournament of Champions. We've been there since 1999. It's the Plantation Course at Kapalua. What are your thoughts on this golf course? They've used it for over 20 years. What stands out in your mind as something key about the course that you're looking at when you're trying to handicap this week?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that stands out is it's a resort course. So when you have this course, when the PGA isn't there every other week of the year, you want people to come here and have fun. You use it as a marketing tool, not people leaving angry, upset that they shot so far over par, they came on vacation and it was terrible, right? So you want it to be very easy. So how do you do that? Well, it's deceivingly long, but it's also very wide. So wide fairways, deceivingly long because it's a par 73, and a lot of the time you're going to have these roll downs, these roll down hills in Maui. So it's a situation where most of the time, if the wind isn't going crazy, we've seen that a couple times in the past, you're going to see some very low scores. So when there's some of the best golfers in the world, all champions, and some really easy course situations in terms of you don't have to worry about hitting these fairways, everybody's going to be hitting them, you start to go low. So when you're thinking about that, you want to see players who can actually score is the spot to start. So that's kind of the first spot to start. Who can score birdie or better things, looking at that, and what is the format in which they score? And for this, it's probably going to rely on your ball striking.
You're going to go with ball striking then? What do you think? Strokes gained approach, or where do you rest there? Because I'm with you as far as birdie or better goes, and I'm even going to limit it down to the wedges and down, because basically it's a bomber's paradise, as you said, and then it's a wedge game from there. So past birdie or better, what do you look like, or what do you look for as far as the skills needed for the players?
Yeah, I'll be looking at strokes gained approach. So ball striking is going to take that into account with driving. So that'll give me a little bit of an overarching view, and then go even more into the approach is probably the number one stat I'll be looking at. But also taking a look at par five scoring, which is where you're going to be seeing at the end of each one of these front end and the back end of the nine holes, you're going to be seeing a par five there. You want to score on those as much as you can, whether it is eagles, which you actually see a relatively lower eagle rate here, but par five scoring, par four scoring, because there's actually more of those. You would think on such a large course you'd see an extra par five, but you don't. And then, yeah, the strokes gained approach. And then there's, if you want to just step back from the stats, which I do think, they're important, but get a whole context here. You have a field of champions, so everybody here knows how to win, but there's a piece of it when I'm looking for, let's just say, outrights or maybe players to finish top five. That is, can these players come from behind? If they have a bad first day, is my bet absolutely done, right? So there's kind of that almost a dog mentality. Can you play from behind is what I actually factor in if I'm choosing between, hey, I want to have my card with three guys in a small field, that third player in there, do they have that ability to come back? It's kind of how I build the card.
You know, that's an interesting point you bring up there. That fighter's mentality, that grit, that resiliency. I think that also adds to who you want to pick or who you want to handicap for this week, because they've had such a long time off. And what were they doing during the holidays? Were they sitting back and opening up presents and, drinking Prosecco on New Year's Day morning, or were they hitting some balls? We haven't seen John Rahm play since basically the Ryder Cup, or, a week or two after that in Spain. So, I love where your head's at there as far as who's really going to put the work in this week to try to come away with the title. So there's the $1 million question. Who from the VIPs do you like this week as an outright?
Yeah, so when I'm looking at this outright board, it's a shorter odds, there's a ton of guys. Like under 20 to 1, these small fields, you're going to see so many guys there, and they're all battling each other. So I'm not looking to go super low. Like number one in the world, John Rahm, maybe potentially number one in the world, which is a storyline to watch. Morikawa this week, low there, 10 to 1, 12 to 1. So I'm kind of looking into that next range of guys who maybe have similar talents, not as consistent. That's why they're not up there yet, but have the ability in maybe a month or two to be a top 10 player in the world. So I start at 22 to 1, at least on DraftKings Sportsbook, where I'm looking at Sungjae Im. So Sungjae, we've seen recently within the past month and a half, pick up a victory. And what you think about with Sungjae Im is he has the approach play, he has the ball striking. If anything, he's become a little bit more sporadic than usual over the past year with the putter. We're used to that being pretty secure as well, but it's slowly coming back. You've seen it come back, picked up a victory. When this guy putts, like a lot of guys on tour, including guys that are 10 to 1, except you're getting him at 22 to 1, when he putts, he's going to be right there. Last year at this event, he led the entire field in tee to green play. He lost over 3 strokes putting. That's what ended up allowing him to not fall to outside the top 10, finished 5th still. So Sungjae at 22 to 1 was the first bet I made this week for an outright.
My head's in a similar place as you. When I wrote the newsletter, I like Sam Burns. I'm feeling the burn this week. I can get him at 18 to 1, and he's right in that sweet spot because he provides tremendous value. His birdie or better is off the charts. The guy's ball striking. I mean, he's basically top 10 every event this past fall that he played in. So that's where my head's there. When you look at the middle tier guys, we know the Mercedes are out there. They're playing, but, how about some of these guys? Sometimes a Honda Accord gets you to the party just as easily. What do you like in that middle range?
Yeah, trust me, a lot of Honda Accords have gotten me to parties over the past couple of years. Yeah, I would say that I'm going in this range to 35 to 1. Mark Leishman. Depends on where you get it. It's 30 to 1. Try and get the 35 to 1 if you can out there. But 35 to 1 Mark Leishman is where I'm going here. Look, he wasn't playing the toughest competition in the fall, spring when we saw him this past month or so, but he's still 3 top 20s, 2 top 5s. He won all the way back in Farmers over a year ago. Had a little bit of a rough summer, but that fall swing, like you were saying, he wasn't just sitting at home. He was out there. He was playing competitive events. He ended up seeing him at the Zurich, which is where I ended up picking up another victory. So what I'm looking at here from Mark Leishman is a similar player. Last year, similar to what I said about Sungjae, at this exact course, he was fine. Like approach play was fine here. It was losing 5 strokes putting. And look, if it's going to come down to the randomness of putting at times, and I can get a 35 to 1 number, and we all know that guys like Morikawa and even JT a lot last year, their putting can get pretty random. And you're going to get a bigger number here from a world-class player, a tournament of champions here, a champion. Yeah, Mark Leishman for me at 35 to 1, who's putting, if anything, has slowly come back over this past month, and everything else is staying there. The one issue with him could become off the tee play, but here doesn't matter as much.
Hey, I mean, this is why we're with Sal Vetri this afternoon. He's the bona fide bet winner, that's for sure. Mark Leishman, I do like him. One of the kind of cool things about Leishman is that he's from Australia, and outside of Americans, which have won the last 11 of these Century Tournament of Champions, Australians have the second most titles since it's been at the Kapalua Plantation course, with 5 of them. Ogilvy and Stewart Appleby cleaning up against the field there in the late 2000s to 2010 range. So Leishman, Australian, really good putter, good ball striker, played in the QBE, played well there. I like where your head's at. I'm good with that. And you know what? You bring up a really important point there, which is when you start to talk about the odds I can get. And this is why I wanted to have a guy like you on here to start the season, because it seems like the odds this week are all over the map when it comes from book to book in covering at least the outrights, and if not some of the props. How do you kind of do your research? Give my fans and my readers just a little bit of insight for a couple seconds on how you look from book to book and really what you're looking for.
Yeah, so book to book, this is a great question. This is the most important thing. Whether you're just a recreational bettor and you're just doing it for fun, you might as well find the best price. If you're in the store and you're looking at the 30 bottles of ketchup out there and you have 2 Heinz bottles in your hands, they're the exact same bottle, same amount, same ingredients, and one is $5 and one is $3. Why would you ever buy the $5 one, right? Unless you're just balling on a budget and you say, I don't need this money, my pockets are heavy. That's the only way you're doing it, right? So there's no reason for that. So when you're looking at shopping odds, it's in the past, you have to go, and the past being 3 years ago before this influx of money comes to the sports betting industry, you have to go to each book individually. It gets annoying. You chart it. Now you have tools left and right. Action Network has a tool. Odds Checker has a tool. You click on golf, has 20 books. You see which ones are available in your state, in your region, or within driving distance of your state or region, and bam, now you have some options to go towards. So I'll pull it up right here on the opposite window I have up. It'll be Action Network, and I'll just look through DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, PointsBet. Where is the best number? So you mentioned it, especially for the start of the year. Not all these books are in order. Some just follow each other, but some don't, especially if they're leaving bigger numbers out there for promotional reasons. We can benefit from that. So you see some of these guys, I mean, you have a difference of some guys being 70 to 1 and 120 to 1, same exact guy, just different books. I mean, that's the difference between hitting 2 more outrights in the year if it hits.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I like looking at the lines too. I think that's a great website for it. They actually highlight which one is the best odds. I mean, you really can't screw it up. It's kind of nice. Prop time. Let's look at the props. I know it's a limited field, it's a non-cut, and those are usually the best live betting situations. But before we get going into the tournament, is there anything? Will there be a playoff? Top 5, top 10 guys, nationalities? What do you like for prop bets this week?
Yeah, I was over here grinning when you were talking about Mark Leishman in Australian. I thought not only in this recording software could you see me, but you can see my screen. Then I got a little worried too. But yeah, I mean, I have on here plus 175. Mark Leishman, top Australian right now. There's 5 Aussies in this field. When I look at who his real competition is going to be, I mean, there is definitely some competition. The Irons of Cameron Smith are the favorite of the Aussies, and that is a concern. But if you're going to give me plus 175 here for competition that he has of Matt Jones, who's biggest upside is probably around the green play, not so much as irons. When you have Cam Davis and Lucas Herbert, who I would put a little bit of a tier below Leishman in this, I'm basically at that point, the way that I'm trying to narrow this down, I'm getting a coin flip on Cam Smith and Mark Leishman, but I'm getting Leishman at plus 175. So top Aussie Mark Leishman, exact same type of situation with Sungjae Im. I get him at plus 135. Only 4 Asians golfers in the field, and I kind of view Hideki as the only guy who can hit him here, and I think Sungjae's a better golfer, and at a coin flip plus 135 at that point, I'll take him. So nationality props is where I'm leaning right now.
Well, I tell you, there must be like a mirror behind me or something, because I was going to bring up Sung Jae myself. To get him just to have to beat Hideki and not worry about Siwoo Kim and KH Lee. I mean, at plus 135, you're right. I mean, that thing's a home run. I got to hit that one hard for sure. I'm definitely I'm tailing you on that one, my friend. Now, matchups. You and I both know that this is the place, especially in these small field events, where you can make some money. Guys that are hot versus guys that aren't, and especially after the first day. But pre-tournament, I know you like Leishman. I see him against Koepka on DraftKings. So, I mean, right there, I know I have to have one of your matchup highlights for sure. But do you have any other ones pre-tournament?
Yeah, I'm kind of in on 2 guys matchup wise. One of them is Leishman. I have him in the Koepka matchup, and I also have him plus 100 versus Tony Finau. The way that I look at this is that Tony's coming in not the greatest form, but really it's just a putter for Tony. Leishman's coming in kind of fine. So I see these guys as pretty comparable golfers when they're coming in for this specific event. And you're giving me Leishman at plus 100. I mean, even if you look at the outright odds to win to try and compare it a little bit here, you're getting Leishman on a lot of books now at 30 to 1. You're getting Finau at 25 to 28 to 1. So Vegas thinks that these guys have a similar chance to win the tournament, except you're getting a better number for the matchup here and this is where you can find some value on a Mark Leishman. So I like Leishman's matchups, and a guy who I don't have an outright on. It's more so just from not wanting to have 6 outright bets in a 40-person field to start the year. But Daniel Berger is the way that I got a little bit of some numbers in some volume, if you will, action on him. I end up taking him versus Hovland at plus 105, and I have not pulled the trigger yet, but this could be a spot for a side bet between you and me. You like Sam Burns. He's a coin flip with Sam Burns. I haven't taken that one, but that's his other prop I'm looking at. But Berger plus 105 versus Hovland. I mean, the way that I look at it is these guys kind of come in with similar skill sets to an extent. Hovland, I would say, is better at his parts of that with his iron play. But still, Berger, I mean, borderline at this point, top 10 player in the world. Every time he comes here, he's been great the last 5 years with top 10, top 15 finishes. And both these guys maybe can blow it away with a putt in the putting category. So, yeah, I'll take Berger at plus 105 versus Hovland.
Berger's a nice top 10 there, too. You're getting plus numbers on him in a field of 40 at a top 10. I'm high on him as well, so I know that one. He's plus 125, and I'm a big fan of that bet, that's for sure. I put that in the newsletter. One other matchup I've got, and I hate to keep picking on this guy because he's the only guy in the field that currently wears the green jacket, but DraftKings has Cam Smith versus Matsuyama, and a lot of people, and myself included, I like the way Cam Smith matches up against pretty much anybody there at Kapalua. So to see him and not too much of a favorite number at, minus 120, then against Matsuyama, who's the reigning Masters champ, I like those chances too. So one more thing that catches your eye. You got a closing one for me?
Yeah, I would say some of these larger numbers, they're not that enticing in a 40-person field without a cut. I mean, you have the heavy hitters or the heavy hitters up top. These guys, they're up there because they're consistent with their game. So I start to look at long shots for this event and I'm like, I don't really want to be pulling the trigger. I think this would be an event that no cut. These guys have to go up against the heavy honchos. I'm not too sure they're going to get it done. So I start to think first round leader. So Max Homa, he's 80-1 in this event. Some sites 60-1. This is one of the guys I was talking about, 100-1 on some books. But he's 80-1 on DraftKings right now. And I don't really buy into him winning this. We've seen him do it at the Genesis against some top names in the loaded field, but I don't want to put my money there right now. But 40-1 for a first round leader, he can spike and just have his putter, which can be his downfall, be fine for a week. It's trending that way, or be fine for a day. It's trending that way. So home at 40-1 is the last thing that I have action on in this field for a first round leader, not the overall event.
Well, folks, there you have it. Sal Vetri. He's given us the inside scoop heading into the tournament, Century Tournament of Champions. Sal, really appreciate you coming on the show today and spending some time and being our celebrity guest picker for the week, man. You're awesome.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we appreciate his expert input. There's no doubt about that. And folks, I appreciate you all following and subscribing to Read the Line. So check us out, subscribe, read, and win. I'm your host, Keith Stewart. You know what? I write the line so you can read the line. Have fun and enjoy the tournament. Aloha.